about the game.
Nobody cares about the game.
Stromboli. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be a pig for a little bit. I feel so bad about it. I haven't streamed in over 2 weeks, right?
I think so.
I have followers from like 5 days ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's shouting me out 5 days ago?
I don't know.
Wait, 1 man's call. I was streaming.
Oh yeah. I guess you have. We haven't done the podcast, but yeah, you did do some streaming, some random streaming. Did you get some foot traffic basically?
I guess that was while I was streaming The Division.
Mm-hmm.
I just been a fun game.
Yeah, it looked okay. I remember because that came out a couple of years ago, right? The original one, and the second one came out fairly recently.
The second one's coming out in March.
Oh, okay. It's not. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I remember when the first one came out. Like a bunch of people I was working with at the time were kind of into it, and I was like looking at like, okay, it's it's another one of those not really an MMO, not an MMO, but actually is an MMO type games.
Mm-hmm. It actually has like I've never heard of this genre, but it's like the same genre of like Diablo, or not Diablo. It's in the vein of Diablo's looting system. But they call it like shooting loot.
Oh, it's like Destiny and.
It's like Destiny and like that game that we were playing, Borderlands.
Oh yeah.
But MMO.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see here. I don't have chat up. Oops, I'm terrible. Oh, it's Kiersey. Wait, why am I faking gay?
What?
Kiersey just pops in like faking gay.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. Yes, you have to have a reason.
Yes. I have reasons for all my insults.
I know. Yeah, there's actually a point behind his. Can confirm. Okay, I need a soda.
I think we can use the portal to get back. We can go to the temple steps portal.
Okay. That sounds good. Temple steps. Oh, that feels so good. The addict just had a relapse. Torchlight 2, Electric Boogaloo. Actually, Vela brought up an interesting topic. I know it's not on our agenda today, but I thought it was interesting, and it might be worth just touching on. So, she posted a Stardew Valley is actually looking to hire programmers.
Yeah, I saw that.
And she just posed the question, what's the difference in working for an indie developer versus working for a non-indie, like for a mainstream developer?
Wow. I mean, that's potentially one of it. I mean, like, when I ran my own company, we made very little money in salaries. And it was, that was kind of like, we, oh wow, even some gold that was sitting out here still saved.
Huh.
Yeah, like none of the monsters are here, and nope.
A monster, the last of his kind.
Oh,
Some
I guess
are still here.
Yeah, I didn't loot all this stuff last when we played.
Wow, this game has pretty good world persistence save.
Oh, this is like a quest. Oh
yeah, I did this one.
That's the one you did. Okay, I was confused because I'm like, well, I didn't get the quest. Okay, you wandered over here.
Yeah.
Well, let me head back to town, and there's one bit that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Like Kirsten said, she assumes more of a corporative, close-knit work environment.
Yeah, I mean, so you have marginally more job security at a larger company.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say a whole lot, because a lot of larger companies kind of famous for, after a game releases, firing a lot of the people in order to, save money because
Yay.
they don't just have, when the leaves turn it's time for EA to fire a bunch of people. Small indies, like you potentially get paid less. You get potentially get a lot less of the standard kind of what you call corporate benefits. Like we were small enough that I really couldn't offer insurance to people who worked for me.
State your business.
So we really didn't have any of that sort of. Oops. We really didn't have any sort of that bonus. When I ran Near Net Studios.
And something you said before in the past, I imagine translates to this topic is, indie is kind of a relative term.
Right. I mean, like if you were to go work for example, Mojang before they got acquired by Microsoft, that was going to be a different experience than working for the creators of Stardew Valley.
Oh yeah, Chocofish is just one of those companies that tends to make hits in their own small little way.
Right.
Because like Starbound did relatively well. It wasn't a massive hit like Stardew Valley, but it's a good game.
Right.
And I think it's a relatively well received game.
Right. And so I think the long and short of it is you can say that like working at a larger company is going to be a more corporate type environment.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good and bad. Like I said, you marginally more job security, but it's hardly guaranteed. You have more potential for benefits. You probably have more regular pay.
Maybe
but,
slightly more stable.
Yeah, I mean potentially slightly more stable. As much as people might want it to, EA's probably not going to go out of business anytime soon.
Because I can imagine, like, when something goes wrong for an indie developer, like, there are people going, oh god, everything is horrible. When something goes horrible in a more corporate setting, they'll go, okay, we'll just reconfigure.
Right. Well, I mean, like for a lot of developers, they're potentially one failure away from having to close the doors. I mean, like look at Telltale, like we talked about before. They kind of they were a larger company. They were a larger company, but they still didn't kind of save them from.
But a lot of that was just bad business decisions.
Well, kind of. I mean, a lot of that was basically being unable. Some of it was basically like being unable to really repeat the success. They had this big success with The Walking Dead. And some of their previous games. I mean, I don't want to discount the previous games, but they had this massive success with The Walking Dead.
Right. And they just put all their eggs in that basket.
Well, I mean, they did try to diversify. Like, to be fair, they did try to do other things. They just didn't. They weren't successful.
Right.
They did the Fable games, which is which is a game that that didn't see the success of Walking Dead. They tried, they did the Minecraft game.
They did Fable?
What was that?
They did Fable?
Not the Fable game. It was it's basically a Walking Dead storytelling game style, based on this comic book called Fable, which is like
Oh, okay. And
yeah, not the Lionhead games.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what? No,
Yeah.
it's all
Nah.
good. They did a Batman game that I heard people actually. Well, I mean that's the issue. All their games were well received. They just didn't make money. They just didn't make money.
I mean, basically, like anytime a company has a success, like they're looking to repeat that.
Mm.
Oh, watch out.
I know this topic wasn't on our thing, but I thought it was interesting when Velop posed the question. And this entire podcast is about.
I mean, yeah, like if people kind of have interesting things to discuss.
Yeah.
But the advantage of a company like EA is that they're very diversified.
Mm-hmm. They got their sports games, they got their shooter games, they got their...
Right. And so even if some game doesn't work out for them, Madden or whatever.
They got their what's the term?
Cash cows.
Yeah.
Often kind of the less polite term for it, but they.
I mean, they got their Mario parties.
Right. I mean, and that's that's kind of the advantage of any like a really big corporate game, studio or publisher, especially publishers. Publishers are not generally kind of hold a lot of the tend to hold a lot of kind of the advantages in their hand. And so but developers tend to kind of be a lot more precarious. Like I said, developers tend to kind of be one failure away from having problems, going out of business.
I'm just reading my passives real fast in my other trees.
But the flip side is, of course, is that usually, again, now it kind of depends on the developer, who's signing the paychecks and whatnot. Usually, at a smaller company, you're going to get a lot more freedom. EA has layers of bureaucracy and people that will have planned out what's going to happen. There's a giant line of people that get to decide things like what games get made, how they're gonna get made, and what's gonna be the
the priority project and
right
and which studio is gonna get shut down that year.
Right. I mean, so and when you start talking about truly independent game developers, where they aren't relying on a on a publisher to kind of help them out.
Like Toby Fox or Scott Cawthorn.
Right.
These truly independent developers that are literally making games on their own.
Right, and they kind of tend to use publishing platforms or self-publish or sometimes I'll just go to a publisher for purely for distribution, which is less necessary these days.
Oh yeah, Scott Cawthorn, he literally self-publishes on Steam.
Right.
There, if he went through an actual publisher, there'd be no way they would put up with this shit. Cause he,
What game? What's his game?
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, okay.
No publisher would put up with his shit because he will upload spur of the moment, no announcements or anything. And like that's part of the appeal because you never know when his game's gonna pop up.
Right.
And then once it shows up on the store, everyone's just losing their mind. Like, holy shit, he did it!
Right.
I like he published or he uploaded 4 games in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through 4 in like 6 months of each other, or some ridiculous number like that.
Right.
Without announcing a single game, and it sold like hotcakes.
Right. And it's great that works for him, but like the flip side of course is like like as much as people like to badmouth publishers,
they have their
like
uses.
a lot of developers kind of need publishers to be frank.
No Man's Sky.
Well, I mean, yeah, or like look at every like the vast majority of Kickstarter projects.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I saw an article about Star Citizen when I was researching for today.
Yeah.
They added new mission types, and the article writer called it a free-to-play game.
I think that's what they're kind of trying to go for, is a free-to-play type model. I mean, obviously they're kind of they're taking people's money. They're offering stuff and taking people's money if they want to give it to them.
Right.
In the meantime,
just like I've never paired those two concepts together, Star Citizen and free-to-play. I went, well, wait a second.
What?
Are the ships like thousands of dollars?
Well, I mean, yeah. Yes and no. I mean, it's one of those things where they, but these are all optional things. Like in theory, as I understand it, and don't take me as an authoritative, word on this. The way I understand it is basically buying the ships early basically just makes it so that you don't have to earn them in the game, and you have essentially what's considered insurance on them.
Ooh, insurance. Oh wait, that's actually a good.
So,
just think you're cool because you're tall. I don't know. Stupid joke. Anyways.
Oh.
I mean, that's like when Eve announced that they were making a free-to-play model.
I mean, it's a little different, because when you have a subscription game that goes free-to-play, because, as far as I understand it, Eve is still has a subscription.
Yeah. I remember reading the article about Eve going free to play like years ago, and they were talking about how they were letting the players determine like what kind of accessibility free to play players would have in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like it went up into like a player poll. What can free players do without a subscription? And I'm just like,
right.
Yeah, because the player community is going to be the most unbiased thing in the world. Found a spell scroll. Eve's free-to-play model puts substantial limits on how far the free-to-play. Yeah, that's what that's. Hi, Jajara. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah, that's basically what we were talking about. Is that like Eve is basically their free-to-play model is essentially pretty restrictive. So.
Well, he says the player base has undergone a cultural revolution, now has much more appreciation of noobs, which is understandable. You gotta have your workforce your slave workforce.
Right.
I mean, I'm just calling it how it is. Oh,
Well, I mean, yeah, you need the
I don't know who you are, but I'm glad.
you need your what do you call it, the newbie hose to bring in more people so that the
yeah, I started playing this really cool game, and all my friends need to join me to play it. And my corporation treat me so well, just so that I can do a GDPR request when I leave them.
we're gonna talk about that now.
Hey, I found the perfect segue into it. Okay.
This is true. I mean, props. I give you props.
So the topic we planned on starting with. I still wish I'm 14. Oh yeah. So we found this article that's kind of interesting, where a former member of a corporation in Eve filed a GDPR request to have their personal information removed from their corporation's website. So, Sai, what's a GDPR request?
I gotta be the expert on this now. Yeah, so the European Union basically passed a bunch of privacy laws, basically making it basically kind of as to counteract kind of this perception of a rising tide of kind of hostile developers, or like social networks. A lot of it kind of has to deal with allowing people to have control of their own data, and one of the things which is kind of colloquially called the right to be forgotten was part of this, where you can contact a website and say, look, I want you to take this, I want you to remove all the information about me. This is kind of used as a way for like people who had like very old news stories written about them, or like if you delete your Facebook account, you want to tell Facebook, like, I want to delete this account, I want you to delete my account and not keep it around to mine more marketing data out of it. So someone used that basically against their corporation in Eve in order to basically kind of get the record of them. I assume to get the record of them kind of purged from the official account, which is kind of interesting because it kind of leads to a lot of questions about kind of the big issue in my mind, somebody who ran a hardcore PvP game before, is the first thing is like people will use any advantage. People will basically use any advantage they can in a PvP game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming this person probably wasn't trying to protect their good reputation. I'm assuming their in real life reputation, their offline reputation. I assume this is basically kind of I don't want to be associated with you losers anymore. Please remove my information. Again, this is an assumption. I'm just kind of going based on what I've read. The other interesting thing is that I was thinking about is like, I wonder if this is more complicated because Eve calls their player groups corporation. If this were brought before a judge, someone saying, "Oh, I want to be removed from the roles of this corporation," assuming someone not well versed in Eve, let alone in gamer culture, might be like, "Well, corporation, what's this?" It might try to kind of apply traditional laws to it,
which is that's like precedent making kind of stuff. it's scary. It's slightly scary that, you know, people can
Right.
utilize these new laws as weapons for gaming. It's
Right. I mean, and people have kind of always, you know, done this, you know, used kind of any advantage they can. And, you know, like, one hopes that, you know, kind of like, you know, cooler heads will prevail and, you know, someone will kind of come along and say, no, this is not what the law was intended for.
You just get here?
But, you know, there's kind of that mildly uncomfortable period where they kind of, this mildly uncomfortable period where, you know, there's a lot of scrutiny under gaming and everybody's kind of like, you know, like, what exactly does this all mean?
right where the technology is ahead of the laws, and new laws
Right.
come out that are ignorant of repercussions in technology. But Eve is, we've said it before. Like, Eve is a very, very weird, interesting stories come out of that game.
Right. You get interesting stories, but not necessarily the type of things that you. It's not always something where, you know, it's necessarily the type of game that, you know, lends itself to a fun gameplay. Because, you know, I've heard a lot of people. I'm sure Dejara will kind of pop in here and try to defend it, but I've heard it's the type of game where, you know, it's kind of like the typical war, you know, description of war, you know, long periods of boredom, you know, punctuated by, you know, short periods of sheer terror.
Yeah, that from the stories I've been told, because I have friends that play it. They're always telling stories. And I am a person that tried one of the 2-week free trials for Eve. Got my ship blown up by like hour 2. Said, I'm good.
Yeah, right. This is a fun little experiment, and now I should go along my happy way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, got it. Cause like at the time I was playing like Star Wars Galaxies a lot, and in Star Wars Galaxies I was a space person. Like most of all I did in Swig was fly my spaceships.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, it's a spaceship. That's great. It's a spaceship game. I like spaceship games. It's not just a spaceship game.
Right. I mean, and you know, for what it is, I mean, obviously it has a very kind of dedicated, hardcore group of people that enjoy the game. But I think, you know, on the flip side, you know, it generates a lot more interesting stories than.
There's nothing wrong with having your ship blown up in a PvP sandbox.
Right.
Sorry, I was being talked at there.
No problem.
What were we talking about?
Eve GDPR request.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you know.
Oh, did you hear our privacy policy has been updated?
I'm scared.
Remember that spam when the GDPR first came out?
Oh yeah. Dear God.
Right, it was such of a mess. Yeah, so it's just it's a scary time to be running guilds.
Right.
Here's some of it. Don't be the one running the guild website. That's the main thing to take away from this.
Welcome, human.
Do you wanna? Where do we need to go for this? Like next?
I think. Give me a second. Sorting inventory, which is the age-old tradition of.
Oh my goodness, Kiersey
What now?
saying, I'm submitting a GDPR request. Please censor and remove my comments from your videos.
No. Sorry. The world needs to know what a sarcastic person you are.
God, do you know how difficult that would be for me to edit? I mean, not really, but I suck at editing. So, yes.
Oh, I got 2 rare boots.
Well, so, like, my issue with having my ship blown up was that I got blown up by a bunch of griefers without knowing any better. Because there's this thing floating out in the middle of nowhere. I go, oh, what's that? And then a bunch of griefers just warp in and kill me. I'm like, oh.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
Surprise.
And then I'm just like, oh. It's that kind of game. Okay, bye. Like,
Right. I mean, my Eve story is very similar, you know, where I just kind of, you know, I was warping around, it's kind of boring, I tapped out, I tapped back in, somebody potted me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. So we need to go to the Frosted Hills. Where the hell is the Frosted Hill?
I have no idea. I guess we gotta go back
Oh, I think we
out.
go north here.
Yeah.
There's a star here. We go north. Yep, here we go.
And cause like I was checking out from playing Star Wars Galaxies, which has consensual PvP in it. You
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the issues is that, you know, like the non-consensual PvP aspect of it, you know, appeals to some people and definitely doesn't appeal to other people.
right,
so.
right.
And you know, it's not necessarily that one is right and the one's, you know,
No,
people are bad and you know, but you just, you know, sometimes as someone who ran a a game that was, you know, full of non-consensual PvP, I understand that some people really don't like that.
mhm. And that's why I keep going like, oh yeah, I totally need to play that game just to show it off on stream sometime. But then I know what kind of game it's gonna be. I'm like, I'm not in the mood.
I mean, you know, it's definitely an old school. Yeah, Meridian 59 is definitely an old school game. You know, I mean, it really kind of depends on the community. I think, as Dejara said, you know, like the communities can change over time. It sounds like, you know, like Dejara is saying that, you know, the community kind of like, the community kind of appreciates new players a little bit more now.
But speaking of consensual and non-consensual PvP, wouldn't it be really interesting if Final Fantasy 14 had non-consensual PvP
I
in
don't
the
know.
overworld?
I mean, we kind of did that. Like, you know, like World of Warcraft already had that.
I know. I'm just saying, in the setting of 14, wouldn't that be kind of neat if, like, each grain company like patrolled their own zones for people from other grain companies?
I mean, that barely works in the. To be honest, that kind of setup barely works in the front lines. You know, I don't think that would really, you know,
I know.
make for good lore. It's what, You know, like especially you know with the way the story's been going. You know, like there's been a lot of they've really kind of tried to build up. You know, like you know the Grandiors, you know, alliance.
Yeah. I will say the whole frontline thing really makes no sense when you really think about it.
Right,
Oh,
right.
well,
You know, the Grand Company's getting
Go ahead, sorry.
Grand Company's getting a pissing contest about who gets to control what bits.
Parthenol, yeah, it's so silly. I don't know, I've never played Black Desert. I found the quest.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I found that's the zone over that way.
If you want to talk to me, I'm pretty sure I can talk my corp into helping y'all. We are in a null-sec coalition. Space out there is fairly safe. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, maybe. I mean, like, when I first tried out Eve, I didn't really know what it was. I just knew it was like a space game. I didn't know that it was a PvP game, or else I probably would have passed. Just been like, no, never mind.
Greetings, traveler.
Greetings,
I was
traveler.
planning to enter the from the
You have received a quest.
Right now, the game I play to get my space itch is Elite Dangerous, which I have all the fun with. Hi, Pumpkin. But speaking of like the corporations being called corporations and how that could be kind of messy, the ships and everything do have a monetary value to them.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, that's definitely kind of one of the things that people have talked about. Yeah, I mean, and Eve Online kind of, you know, brags about that as a selling point. Oh, you know, whatever, you know, $3,000 worth of items were destroyed in this big war. Wow, my game got loud all of a sudden. Give me a second.
How dare it? Yeah, it seems to be getting gradually louder on my equalizer, which is kind of weird.
I think I
Did you push a button?
the volume control on my headset. I think I bumped into that. So.
Good job.
I know.
This is why we
literally
can't
the
have
worst.
anything nice.
Exactly. Because you're definitely not nice.
I was actually just reading an article on Kotaku.
Mm-hmm. I'm
was-
sorry.
I know. That I mean, as soon as I saw it on Kotaku, I'm like, oh, because this is reliable.
What's your business?
What was I
just
saying?
get here?
It was talking about Final Fantasy 14 and a bunch of like roleplay brothels in the game.
Okay.
It got brought up in on my server shout chat in Uda, of course.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, you have my interest. Let me see what the hell you guys are talking about. And one of the things that they're talking about was one of the role players that were they actually exchange in-game currency, gil, for roleplay. Like,
Okay.
it is a genuine brothel in that sense. And one of the people made like 4 million gil in a week.
Okay.
And the person writing the article even went to the extreme of describing that 4 million gil is worth $12 if you're buying it from an RMT. And I'm just like, why would you advertise that you can?
Well, I mean, yeah, I've seen the salacious details about, oh my god, people are spending actual money. I mean, like, some people have done that before, talking about, like, lock boxes and whatnot. Trying to kind of paint them as kind of, you know, potentially, you know, more malicious, you know, trying to kind of tie them more to, what do you call it, to gambling.
Right.
Basically, like, you know, they have a, you know, a real world value.
Yeah, Belgium was really big in that stuff.
You have received a quest.
Like pushing for anti-loot box legislation because they equated it to gambling. Hold on, I'm getting backed up on chat here. Dejaro says big fights don't happen in most games. It's easy sell for players that want something consequential. Almost no one actually funds their ships, primarily spending RL cash. Which I mean is fair. Like that, it's the outliers that do it. But then it's pay to win.
Mm.
In Kiersey, it's like, according to the article, did you no, you're right there.
Yeah, fishing.
According to the article, the role players got like 100,000 gil per 30 minutes or something like that. That's like their standard fee. Or they could get paid like 10,000 gil an hour to AFK dance on the stage naked.
Okay.
I can link to the article. Like, I'm not making this up.
I believe you. I don't know. Like, part of me though is just like I don't know. Like, who's benefiting from this? Like, you know. I mean, the stories you told me about the quicksands make me believe that, like, if you just want to kind of like find a random someone to, you know, to get your jollies, you know, you don't necessarily have to lay out. You know, I guess, you know, assuming there's a certain minimum level of quality maintained there. I guess I could
I mean, I have
see,
the article right here. It's on Hyperion, by the way, the brothel that they're talking about in the article. Which I didn't even know there was an RP community on Hyperion. I mean, like, the person running the brothel is, like, getting the most cut out of it.
Well, I mean, yeah. I wanted to hope that, you know, the pimp is getting, you know, paid pretty well.
Right, right. Okay. This one paragraph just caught my attention. The brothel is the flip side of the Leviathan server's Mafia, a group of players who roleplay gangsters. Behind the basement stage, where a dancing cat girl in a black bikini churned through her routine, was a Mafia's quote-unquote sweatshop. There, players crafted quote-unquote bootleg items that, because it's a game, actually work. When I was introduced to the brothel's godfather, he sat alone on an oxblood-colored room, contemplating a fire. I asked whether I could talk to him about the sex industry in Final Fantasy XIV. All he said was, "We provide entertainment," quote-unquote.
Don't ask your questions. We just provide entertainment here.
I'm just like, oh my god.
I suspect. Yeah, I suspect some of this is kind of like played up for effect here.
Yeah. Like,
What's your business here?
I play on a roleplay server. I've seen some crazy shit. Like, nobody takes this shit that seriously.
I have spider mines.
Ooh. I mean, on Mattias we have a brothel on Mattias called the Whispered Wish.
Mm.
And they're not bad. I actually have friends in that group.
Mm.
But they also run a like a bar.
Mm.
God, you ran off and there's like this boss over here I'm fighting for you. So like you can go there and roleplay in their bar area, and it's an innocent, you know, place to hang out. Or you can go into their back room.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff, you know, happens.
Things happen.
Yeah. Yes, Kiersey, friends, I can introduce them to you if you'd like. Pumpkin. What a freaking small world. My friend on Hyperion, that's their FC leader.
Oh, well then.
Oh my goodness. Well then. Pick a direction. Because we have to get these journals.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Pumpkin, I have more conversations to have with you off stream.
Looking to make a little extra money with your cat girl is what you're saying?
Well, once server visiting is available,
Oh.
you know,
see.
maybe this Hyperion people want some, you know, exotic Mattias cat girl. You know, maybe blind cat girl is, you know, somebody's king.
Everybody, somebody else's kink, huh?
Oh my goodness, how I can't upload this on YouTube. Like, I'm just like, I'm going through like the editing process in my head. I'm like, nope. Somehow
our 3-hour session turned into a half-hour video.
Yeah, basically. Oh my goodness. Oh my god, what is that emote? Sophie Cop. That's adorable. I love it.
Yes.
Pumpkin put an emote in the chat. I love it. Ugh. I can't. I have some nerve issue happening in my elbow tonight. Every time I rest my elbow on my chair, like the nerve endings in the palm of my hand fire off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Might have to put you down like Old Yeller.
Oh god. Please put me out of my misery.
Have we met?
Fat cat in a cop uniform. Oh my god, you're right. That's adorable.
I'm scared now. Like the Final Fantasy Fight cat?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm scared.
Oh, you're not looking at chat?
Okay, but I have to. I have paid attention to it.
Oh,
I see it.
okay. It's adorable.
Wow. Well, that's too high. That's too high. That's too high level.
Do it anyways.
Oh my god. Let's not. So that we don't have a ton of dead air is where I'm going. Oh my god, everything's terrible.
You a new recruit?
Oh shit.
You okay?
Yeah, I was supposed to be writing down timestamps.
Oh yeah.
Oops.
Well, you can start doing that now.
Yeah. Actually, I can do a thing.
What's the next topic for us to discuss?
Butt sex.
Oh,
So I saw.
I did not consent to this.
Okay, one sec. Let me. Okay, so I saw an article about an upcoming MMO that looked somewhat interesting, called Reworld,
Oh, okay.
and it looked somewhat reminiscent of like Neverwinter Nights mixed with what was advertised for EverQuest Next.
Mm.
Where you can basically create your own MMORPG using the Reworld game engine as like your template.
Mm.
Where you could create your own races, your own classes, create your own towns and world. And basically I kind of equated what I was reading about it to like D&D. Where with house rules,
Mm.
and it just looked interesting because it was like the epitome of user created content, and that's the whole game.
Right.
Which I always kind of figured it was bound to happen eventually.
Right. I mean, this has kind of been talked about quite a bit. For a while now, people kind of having this dream of giving people the right tools and imagining that there's just this right set of tools that you can give people that would allow that unlock creativity and allow them to create their own MMOs. And like this is definitely not the first game to do that. There's been other ones. Oh, shoot, what was that? I should have looked. I should kind of forgot about the. There was another game that wanted to do it. They were going to publish a Firefly MMO even platform. Oh, let me look this up.
I was about to. Yeah, it sounds interesting.
But they wanted to do.
Pumpkin's asking Arcade. That doesn't sound.
No.
That's not
no.
what Arcade was going after. Let you figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I run around and kill shit. See, now look who's not prepared.
I know. I'm the worst.
No.
I'll just leave now. Let you handle the rest of yourself. Okay?
Okay, thanks. It was nice seeing everyone. Stop streaming.
Multiverse. It was called Multiverse.
Oh.
Back in the day. This is back in 2006, it looks like.
Oh my.
Yeah, this is like old. And so yeah, like the idea that they wanted to do kind of the same thing, like what sounds like this new company wanted to do. But they announced that they were going to do a Firefly MMO on their platform, which of course never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, nobody really even, the game never really even came to or the platform never really even came to fruition.
Right.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it was like, okay, that's a nice idea, but nobody was bothered to this. Because the problem is, as much as people kind of want to believe that they can be good game developers, the reality is that like people are professionals. It's like it's like a lot of other kind of creative industries or kind of glamour industries. Like people kind of want to believe that they can just pick up a guitar and they can play as good as whatever current
Insert musician name here.
Right, exactly.
Or like they enjoy doodling, so therefore they are an artist.
Right.
There's quests over here.
Okay.
You have received a quest.
And so you kind of get that attitude of game, and like the big thing, and this is one of the things I talk to a lot of people about when they talk about, when I tell them I'm a game developer. I kind of explain that, look, like making games is not the same as playing games.
Mm-hmm. Huge difference there.
And so you have kind of companies that want to do this type of thing, that want to make kind of take advantage of kind of this desire of people to believe they could they kind of want to believe that they can make the coolest, the cool game. When the reality is, like it's a lot harder than you might think.
Right, they can give you some tools to do it, but then there's like that argument that we've talked about of user friendliness versus power.
Mm-hmm.
So like how powerful do they make the user tools to make their world?
Exactly, and that's a big issue, of course, is that it is exactly that. Like how do you when you make a kind of a more interesting, when you make a powerful tool. I mean, kind of go back to EverQuest Next. That was one of the big problems they had, I think, was they wanted to make these like really powerful tools that game developers are used to, but then putting them in the hands of people, like you'd get some people that could create some amazing things, but on the other hand, it was potentially kind of tough for them to do so, for the kind of the normal person to pick it up. And so so it'll be interesting to see, and this type of thing, of course, has like existed since the early days of like text mods, like Diku mods, which are kind of the dominant, where you had Diku mods, which were, like I said, were kind of like were a popular type of mods. Were kind of one of the reasons they got popular is because they were one of the reasons they got popular is because they were very easy to manipulate, to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people kind of like when you had there were games that were a lot harder to adjust, the Diku mods, which I kind of preferred, but that required actual programming talent, whereas the Diku mods, the LP mods I preferred, required programming talent, but the Diku mods were basically and so it'll be interesting to see kind of like where they divide, where the dividing line. The other interesting thing, of course, is like
Oh, I just died.
Have died.
Oh. What did you did?
I got surrounded.
Okay, don't get surrounded.
I was trying to do it good and I did it bad. Okay.
But the other interesting thing, you know, since we talk a lot about like IP and ownership, especially with the indie people, you know, who's going to own the platform? The other problem you run into with these type of things as well is, you know, if you build for a specific platform, and then that platform goes out of business or goes away or whatnot, you generally kind of left high and dry.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure, like in the sense of ReWorld, they'll pull a you know, we retain ownership of all player-made creations.
Right,
blah,
right.
blah, blah.
Right, and it's kind of a tough thing, is like, you know, in general they'll probably want to exert as much ownership as they possibly can to, you know, in order to kind of cover their ass. But then the flip side, like, you know, what, because, you know, from their point of view, they want to protect themselves from the people that are like, oh yeah, sure, I'm gonna totally make this game, and it's gonna be popular, it's gonna be kind of it's gonna be a big hit, and then of course then I abandon it, and then people got, you know, like a lot of Steam greenlight stuff, a lot of stuff that Steam's kind of dealing with right now.
Mm-hmm.
What happens with early access when somebody's just like, yeah, I made my money, thanks.
Right. There's a game that I bought. It was like a tech demo. It was called Sword with Sauce.
Okay.
It was like an experimental. Have you seen Super Hot?
No.
It's like this experimental game that's like a time, like a physics puzzle game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, I have seen that. Okay.
Whereas, as you move, the enemies move, but when you stop, the enemies stop, or time stops.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I've seen Super Hot. Yeah.
Something
very similar to that.
Sword of Sauce has the same visual aesthetic as that,
Okay.
but it's like like you're like a ninja secret agent type thing, and you're trying to go through levels and beat all the guys in the level. It's very similar to Super Hot, but I just saw on the thing that they discontinued development on it after a bunch of YouTubers got it popular. YouTubers, you know, played it on their channels and got it popular,
Right.
and this, that, and the other, and then all of a sudden they're not developing it anymore.
Right.
Imagine, you know, they got all these YouTubers to promote it and make it popular. People bought it to check it out for themselves.
Right. And when you start talking about an MMO, especially like, you know, these are big, complicated, difficult things to develop. Like, you know, for a while there, like everybody wanted to get into game development. Like, yeah, I'm gonna make the World of Warcraft killer, and it's like, that's cute, kid.
Right. You're adorable.
Right. It's like, okay, yeah, sure you are. But that didn't stop a lot of people from like trying to do that. You know, from trying to.
Rift was said to be the big WoW killer. Then, God, I don't even remember all the WoW killer attempts.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much every major game was, you know, trying to kind of dethrone WoW, and that was kind of, you know, but that was kind of the idiom of the time. Like, people wanted to, you know, people kind of sold investors on this idea of, we can do what they did, only bigger and better and badder.
Firefall. Rip Firefall. But no, like Kiersey is right. The only game that can kill WoW is WoW.
Right. Well, I mean, and the problem, of course, is, you know, and to get into a long discussion about, you know, like how terrible capitalism here is. It's like, you know, like a lot of MMOs are profitable. Like even my game Meridian 59 was not like super wildly profitable, but I made decent money, and if it kept myself fed, kept rent paid for a while. But I'm not gonna say that it was an easy thing, but but still, like we were making a decent amount of money, and so and we didn't have that many people, we didn't have that many subscribers to the game. The game was, we kept the game pretty modest size, a couple thousand people, so if even if you're able to get, say, 100,000 people, you can make some pretty serious money off of that.
Right.
If you can manage to keep your expenses reasonable.
And that's the important word, reasonable.
Right. Well, I mean, the problem comes, from a business point of view, comes in when you're expecting WoW type numbers. You're expecting millions of people, and you get hundreds of thousands.
Right.
I mean, and this is kind of like one of the advantages that I think Eve really enjoyed, is that they were able to kind of get through that initial trying period pretty well, because things kind of worked out well for them. Whereas a lot of other games, when they if they're not a big success immediately, or if they're aiming for WoW type numbers and they don't get it, usually they can't, like a lot of the games can't adjust that well to back off of it.
Right, and that's like why Final Fantasy 14 is such a standout recovery, because they flopped at first, but they were able to bring it back.
Well, and this goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, where you have when you start talking about larger companies have that advantage, where they have the advantage of Square Enix had a lot of other games that basically to fall back on. They had Tomb Raider series and whatnot. So even though Final Fantasy 14 was initially a flop, they still were able to kind of come back and get you back off a second. Let me kill something. I have a wand that gets enhanced if I kill 25 things. I'm up to 24, so.
Fine.
I know. Did you murderize everything though?
Over here. I haven't been over west though.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's see what. Oh, okay. Interesting. So I just basically gave it another enchantment. I have 8% chance to execute on this wand, which is all interesting.
So, getting back on topic.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm sitting here reading. Where is the topic? Talking about Reworld. The content that the players make is meaningful to them.
Right.
But, someone who doesn't care about their niche subject is...
Right. So I might, I could come in and, potentially make the
Firefly MMO.
Right. But people with taste that don't like Firefly might say, well, this isn't a good game. Oh yeah.
Oh.
How's that?
Oh, do we need to have a conversation?
I'm just gonna say Firefly was horrifically overrated.
Okay, I've never seen it personally.
I mean, it's not terrible, but it gets a lot more love. Yeah, it was a very good show.
Are you saying it got canceled for a reason?
Yes, I'm saying it got canceled for a reason.
Dang.
It was nowhere near as popular as people, I mean, it inspired very rabid fans, which, I mean, as a creative person, like, I want very rabid and excited fans for my project.
Are you just trying to create controversy to make this podcast more popular?
I mean, is it working?
I hope so.
Please, if you disagree, share with your friends. Get them on here to yell at us.
Yeah, I'll take it. Sure, why not? Psychochild created loot boxes. I knew it. Oh my goodness.
So, actually, let's go back this way because I think I didn't get the 1 star over here. Yeah, I mean, DeJaro says that Firefly had the same popularity as the first season of Star Trek: The Original Series, but I assume you mean, are you talking about the original series or are you talking about Next Generation there, DeJaro?
Because, I mean, the original series, when it aired, if I remember correctly, wasn't
it was,
that big.
No, it kind of failed, and it took a letter writing campaign actually in order to save it, and it got basically it obviously kind of grew in popularity since then. So
yeah, I actually watched a document about like the development of Star Trek, and it's kind of a painful thing for them to do.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of blazed some trails, big. I have a lot of respect for Roddenberry for what he tried to do, but yeah, like the first season of Star Trek was not very popular at all, and it took a letter writing campaign for people to get them to not cancel it.
And the first 2 seasons of Next Generation were not that big either.
Right. I mean, I think even hardcore Star Trek fans kind of admit that the first season of Next Generation was kind of they really kind of were trying to find their way there.
Right. We're off topic, but
Yeah. It's interesting.
A lot of what I've read about that was it was a lot of Roddenberry. We missed a star for this quest.
Yeah, well, but we have enough stars for the.
Oh, do I only need
to turn in the quest? I think that's another quest.
Oh, okay. Okay, Kirsten has a question. I always gotta wonder, when does a publisher realize it's time to stop milking a franchise? Is there some kind of sales number limit that decides?
I think it's basically, it's like any other business decision. I have, a company has X amount of dollars to invest in stuff. If I take, 10% of that X and I can put it over here into a franchise I know will sell a certain amount, and if that's going to give me the Y% return on investment, whereas this thing over here is going to give me Z% to return on investment, I have to see, is it Y or Z higher? That's basically how businesses work. If a fiduciary responsibility to invest their resources to maximize profit. The way it gets complicated though is like when you have a franchise, or like a game that basically you can kind of release every year, like a lot of sports franchises, the amount of sales you have can be almost predictable within certain margins of error. So, like if you're EA and you're looking at, well, we have, so many millions of dollars to invest into a game, we can either put it into the next Madden or we can go do something completely unexplored. they're going to probably lean toward Madden because they can project how much money a Madden game is going to make, and they'll, like it has a decent return on investment. Whereas when you create something new, keep in mind EA like released The Sims. The Sims was a huge hit, a surprising hit, amazing, huge amount of money for them. But it was like really kind of like not something they anticipated. And so but like EA does release kind of smaller games. They don't necessarily throw a whole lot of marketing behind to see if they can find another equivalent of The Sims, where it's kind of like what in a way it's a little bit like reality TV, or kind of like for a while there the movies that were considered like found footage movies, like the Blair Witch Project. If they can throw a small amount of money in there and then see if it becomes a huge hit and then invest in it later, that's amazing. But they're not necessarily going to put in an amount of money equivalent to a Madden franchise into a game and expect that to pay the bills. They're going to put that money into something safe and secure. They're going to invest a smaller amount of money into something more what they view as more risky, and then they're going to potentially looking for hits. And so basically what that does is it basically means that Madden kind of fuels their the franchise, like Madden fuels their exploration into other types of games.
And I always use Nintendo as my analog, because like Nintendo will do the same thing with like Mario Party and Super Smash Brothers and like Pokemon. They know those games are going to be hits. And then they'll experiment with like the Labo, those cardboard toys.
Right.
Or they'll experiment with a Star Fox game, which they know won't do well. Star Fox hasn't done well since Star Fox 64. Like Star Fox has not been a successful franchise for them, but they'll keep trying. They'll keep experimenting with it, trying to make one that works.
Right.
And their smash hit, like Super Smash Brothers, that was an experiment.
Right.
When that came out.
Right. And so but the amount of new properties that come out, it tends to be very small, and they do try things, but like a lot of times these things kind of fade into oblivion. You don't really hear about them. Because they're not going to go around, bragging about, oh, hey, look at this big failure we had. Like the Virtual Boy. Like, Nintendo would be just fine if everybody kind of, forgot the Virtual Boy even existed.
And the Wii U actually didn't do well either.
Right.
Just like.
Well, and I think that was kind of a part of that was kind of from the because of the expectations.
From the Wii, yeah.
Right. The Wii was kind of like it was a little bit of a success. It was a success, and it was a little bit of like kind of what we're talking about here. The idea of having this game. This idea that basically, I found a.
So many things to kill.
You got a boss over here.
Oh, okay. God, my inventory's full. Shoot.
But but like I said, the Wii was a little bit of a attempt to kind of see if they
what worked, what they could get to work.
Right. Because a lot of it was they were
at a disadvantage from marketing. So
well, not necessarily, but I mean, basically in terms of raw power, and keep in mind this is back when this is back when people kind of wanted to people base things a lot more on raw power. The Wii was a lot less powerful than the other consoles of the generation, the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm.
Or
that
was
was
it PlayStation
PlayStation 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Jumped a generation there.
Yeah. And so, like, but it was a lot weaker than the comparative consoles. And so it became really, it was the fact that it succeeded was actually kind of nice because it was
Welcome, my friend. Hail, hero.
Your thought was it was nice.
Oh, sorry. I got focus on the game. It was they wanted to see if they could basically compete by going after a different market. I think we talked about this before in the podcast. They were going after what they called the blue ocean. The idea of the red ocean versus the blue ocean, where the red ocean is already kind of like a very much a already established group that market. There's a gold chest over here to the south.
Do you have a key?
Oh, yeah. The idea being that they had these.
Your pet is back from town.
Basically, they had this. They were trying to go for a different audience, a larger audience.
The non-gaming audience.
Right. Yeah, and so like Wii Sports is kind of a big thing, and so whereas even though the Wii didn't sell necessarily as huge units, and the games didn't have as much sell through and whatnot, it was still kind of considered a pretty big success because they their manufacturing costs were a lot lower for the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always kind of been one of Nintendo's big things, is they've always tried to keep the their costs down like that.
Yeah, that was one of the big things with the Switch, is that the Switch costs about the amount that a cell phone costs to make. Which, I mean, let's be honest, the price to make a cell phone is not that much.
Right.
There's so much upselling on the price of cell phones.
Right.
But there's a huge shortage issue with the Switch because they were competing with cell phone manufacturers on components. And there's only so many microprocessors of that brand that can be, there's like one company that makes them.
Right.
So there's bidding wars that happen over. Oh, I found the way to that other star. There are bidding wars over the microprocessors that cell phones and the Switch use. And there just were not enough microprocessors being manufactured to satisfy the market. So that caused massive shortages. Like, from what I heard, Nintendo had everything they needed except microprocessors to make the Switch.
Right.
So they're just stuck for a couple months.
Right.
Or that's what I heard. I could be wrong.
Right. Sometimes a lot of the stuff is kind of goes almost more by hearsay than actual factual information. But yeah, but 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 a lot of times, you have these. Again, kind of go back to one of the original topics we talked about. Nintendo kind of doesn't put all their chickens in one basket. They have the Switch, but I mean they also like Nintendo, kind of surprising to a lot of people. They kind of dip their toe into mobile games and whatnot.
Oh my goodness, Pokemon Go.
Right, right. Well, I mean, which wasn't even developed by them, but yeah, like
No.
But that's obviously been a kind of a huge success for them. Then they had a couple of other,
Yeah.
again, all their stuff was amazing.
They did Super Mario Run, which wasn't received as well because it was behind a paywall.
Right.
And then they had Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, I think it's called. Which actually, from what I heard, a lot of people really enjoyed that one because Animal Crossing, I don't think is like one of their financially successful games, but it's one of their beloved niche games.
Right. The first Animal Crossing was just super cute and fun game. So.
And then every other Animal Crossing after that is basically the same thing. Like
right.
Same game over again.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Fire Emblem Heroes.
Right.
Which was just like Brave Exodus. Final Fantasy Exodus.
Oh, but it was it
was like
with a different setting.
yeah.
They reskin the same gameplay, but different.
Brave Exodus, that's it. Well, and that was. I've never played. Ooh, I almost died there.
Yep.
I think this bear was hurt. I've never played a Fire Emblem game, to be honest.
They're competent turn-based strategy games.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty fun. I haven't played a whole lot of. I don't think I've played in any recent ones, but I played a lot of the early ones.
Dragilla Lost. I don't know Dragilla Lost. I think Pumpkin's just making up words at this point.
I mean, entirely possible.
So anyways, I think we're good on Reworld.
Yeah.
A good bit. So.
I mean, I think the main point I want that you have a lot of there's kind of this idea that if you can give people the right tools, they'll make this amazing thing. And again, my point is, you have professional developers for a reason. People might think they can make a game, but
yeah, like Foundry Creations and like STO and Neverwinter.
Right.
There's some really good ones. There's a lot more bad ones.
But yeah, those are the exceptions, not the rule.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Watch out.
What did you do?
I hit a TNT barrel. But there's a chest in the middle that seemed to survive the explosion. All
Worth.
Good. Basically.
I mean, and it's supposed to be a free-to-play game, so I'll probably check it out when it comes out. Because maybe we're wrong. Maybe it'll have just the right kind of tools for, just the right kind of experience. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe
you never know.
Maybe I'll be able to maybe somebody will remake Final Fantasy XIV in Reworld. Oh god, somebody recreate Star Wars Galaxies in Reworld. That'd be hilarious.
Well, probably run into, of course, is the intellectual property licensing and all that stuff.
Right. Hey, people get away with it in Second Life. That's actually another game to talk about for like user-created content. I'm loosely calling it a game.
Right.
But like you can make custom game modes and stuff in that.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a
Pretty robust creation system.
It's got its own kind of, well, it's basically got its own programming language and whatnot. I mean, most of it's, brothels. going back to that previous topic, a lot of it's just brothels.
Okay. We can talk about.
I actually that is an interesting thing to bring up though. Because like Second Life, was one of those games that kind of like they wanted to kind of create the multiverse, the universal internet type thing in 3D. But like one of the reasons people kind of point out that it didn't do so well is that it basically just kind of got bogged down with a whole lot of sex, accusations of child pornography were rampant and whatnot. So that's potentially one of the big challenges for Reworld is like, how do they, stop it, how do they stop the game from just basically kind of evolving into, a sex game.
Right. Next thing you know, it'll be the next episode of Law and Order SVU.
Right.
They had a Second Life episode in that show.
They did. Yeah.
I used to watch that show all the time before I realized it was trash. I grew up watching that show, man. And like they like used the world inside the game to find the person in real life because the map that they played on was based loosely off of an area of New York City. It was so stupid. That show. The more I think about that show, the sadder I get about it.
But
anyways,
but the point being that people, there's people that said when Ultima Online came out, the way for it to be more popular was to create, what somebody cleverly coined adultima.
How'd you get over to where you are?
I it's kind of a secret area. Over here is where it doesn't map.
Right.
So I'm wondering, I was looking through the achievements before we started, and one of the achievements is finding secret rooms. So. Oh,
okay.
Maybe this is a secret room. I don't know. And I mean, I have nothing against consenting adults and whatnot. If you can get people that are consenting.
Right.
But the problem, of course, is that's a potentially hairy thing where if you're trying to pitch, especially if you want to be a family-friendly game, family-friendly and unrestrained user-created content do not go hand in hand.
Right. How dare they have mature content in this family-friendly, wholesome Christian server?
Well, exactly. I'm glad you respect my my delicate sensibilities. But yeah, and so. Oh. Oh.
Yeah, I'm coming. Give me 1 sec though. Speaking of Ultima Online. I'm just dotting him up. I saw there was an article talking about the new updates coming out for Ultima Online in 2019, and my first response was, "They're still updating Ultima Online?"
I mean, a lot of these older games, still have pretty good, following.
Right.
You know, like I said, Meridian, we were able to get a few thousand people, which was, decent at the time.
It's just amazing how loyal some fandoms are to certain games.
Well, like the big thing with like Ultima Online, I know they were very successful for a long time because one of the things they did was they had very low system requirements.
Right.
And so, like even if there was cooler and bigger and better games out,
It was old, reliable.
right. It was a game that people kind of like could play. Well, that was kind of scary. They knew that their computer would be able to handle it. And like this is kind of the same thing. The same thing I have.
Secret room up here.
What was that?
There's a secret room up here.
Okay. Wait a second.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing with like EverQuest.
Right. EverQuest had something very similar, where it is very low system requirement, and so like it allowed people to basically allowed people to kind of keep playing it even when kind of newer cooler games out, but those had much higher system requirements.
Your pet has departed.
And so those games didn't necessarily some people were basically just kind of stuck with the older game.
And once you're once you're into that game and you're invested in it, then
right
you're a lot of times, like, psychologically you're stuck with it because you have all these investments, and you're like, oh god, if I stop playing for a month then I'll lose my house. That's what 14 has for a lot of people.
Right.
Because in Final Fantasy 14, if you don't enter your player house at least once every 45 days, it'll auto demolish itself, and you'll lose your house.
Right, and Ultima Online had kind of something very similar where it basically had a housing that it had housing that it was basically the same thing. If you didn't log on occasion, we missed something up north. There's a star up north, so
Yeah, I see it.
take a look at that.
Star Wars Galaxies had a similar. It had like an hourly upkeep fee. Or I think it was hourly. It might have been like daily or weekly. I don't remember.
Right.
But you had to keep like soaking. I mean, if you had a lot of credits, then you could just dump a whole bunch of credits in and be good for a year or whatever.
Right. Yeah, in a lot of games, kind of. But like, I don't remember if Ultima Online had a. I don't remember if Ultima Online had a monetary upkeep, but they definitely had an upkeep. There's definitely an upkeep to the, you had to basically kind of go in and touch your house, basically similar to Final Fantasy, every X period of time. Otherwise, you ran the risk of losing your house, and that was a powerful motivator for a lot of people to kind of stay, because kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier with EVE Online, where things had actual monetary value.
Right.
People would sell, instead of getting rid of stuff, houses and whatnot, people would sell the houses to other people on eBay or whatnot.
Right.
And so this is kind of like one of those interesting discussions of, I think we can just go out here, portal to the other side, but people selling resources like that instead of basically freeing it back into the world for other people to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
It felt a little awful for people to kind of hold on to things and then sell them instead of letting other people have them when they wanted to when they wanted to release it. And Ultima Online it had literally limited housing because it was all in the open world.
Right. Like Star Wars Galaxy was made in that vein.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's basically where they took it from.
Yeah.
Whereas Final Fantasy 14, they can and do on a regular basis.
Space.
Right. Adding more wards and whatnot. Yeah.
And Eve, Dejar was saying, in Eve, it is less a matter of the system shutting down your in-space structures as the other players shooting at them. If you have no enemies, it might be fine.
Right. Well, but of course, it's not just potential enemies you have as well. It's does someone want that? Let's go into this cavern here, the Ice Deep Cavern. I think this is what we need.
Okay.
Oh, I think this is a side quest, but yeah.
That's fine. Whatevs.
We're just grinding up while we're talking. And so yeah, and this was kind of seen as a way, if you get people invested into the game by either having something limited or having something invested in, because in Final Fantasy, houses are not cheap. You have to kind of throw in a good amount of money in order to.
Which I actually have a genuine frustration at the moment because I have a medium-sized house on a server I don't even play on anymore.
Right. But you don't really want to get rid of it, and it's against the rules to sell it, and so yeah.
So I'm just stuck with it.
Right. You don't want to just kind of. I guess with the upcoming server transfers and whatnot, that'll potentially be interesting for you because you can potentially transfer to another server and get some of that money back.
Mm-hmm. Which I've been thinking about doing. But yeah, yeah, it's a hard position to be in. But that's just the thing. I'm so invested in having that house, but then I could get my money back. Which even if I just get the auto demolition amount, that would be 18 million gil.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a 20 million gil house.
Right.
And right now,
Which is like what? That's like 5 hours of
Hmm?
that's 5 hours of working at a brothel.
Oh my goodness. Nice.
Making that callback. Oh. This game is mean because like like one of the enjoyable things in Diablo games and whatnot, even in Dungeons and Dragons Online,
The Destructibles.
it's just destructibles. But like every once in a while, they're like one of those old timey round iron bombs pops out. You gotta run away from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so like, like a lot of times things like that will keep you. The other, and even EverQuest, like for the longest time, the mantra in EverQuest, a lot of people kind of felt like they weren't necessarily having a lot of fun playing it anymore, but their friends played, and like they had fun with their friends, so
They're stuck in a sense.
I mean, but I mean like like I don't think it's really kind of unique to this type of thing, I think that a kind of a good comparison for this is like like you go to a bar, like going to a bar and getting drunk is not necessarily an exciting thing in and of itself.
But
if you go
around it.
right, and or going with friends, when you're spending time with friends and whatnot. I think this is the way to the boss fight. Let's go search the other branch. Like going with friends, especially, social activity. I mean, and I was kind of telling somebody about like this game, and when we were trying it out the other day, they're like, oh, how is it? I'm like, it's fine, but I'm playing with a friend, so it automatically makes it everything better.
Right.
Like, so I think like people can kind of criticize, kind of look at that type of thing. Oh, like the game's not fun. It's just it's just the player. It's just your friends playing it. But like I don't think that's an unusual thing, even for non-game activities.
Yeah, like I had that issue on Final Fantasy 14. I mean issue, where I joined Final Fantasy 14 to play with Solaria, who's mod in my chat. And so like we started on Sargatanis, and then Sargatanis just ended up being like a super toxic server. But that's where our guild, Cell's guild was, and where all the friends were, because they've been playing since 1.0. And but we all decided to move to Malboro, where because it was a smaller server, and there's like an economic boom on that server, and we were a crafting guild.
Right. I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
So like,
and so it was a better market for you as a crafting guild to sell your wares than.
Right, but
and a better community.
Eventually, it turned to the Sargatanis again because preferred server status, and new people coming in for Heaven's Word, and like the server grew, and it stopped being good. And then I got to the point where I just stopped doing stuff, and I stopped having things to do because I wasn't running content like I used to. So I spent all of Heaven's Word just sitting there doing nothing.
Right.
And it was really hard for me to, finally say, I need to go to a different server. I need to go to an RP server because that's what I want to do.
Right.
And it took me months to like come to that conclusion because I didn't want to lose my friends.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, your friends kind of motivate you to kind of stay with the server, and because you're having fun with them, and they're your friends. We do a lot of things for our friends that we might not do otherwise. So.
Right.
But yeah, and so I mean, you kind of have, like I said, you kind of have that same thing with you have the same thing with a lot of these older games where like you have people that have been playing like I mean like my example is Dungeons and Dragons Online. I've been playing that game for I don't know like 7-8 years now, and I've only really kind of been playing it like about once or twice a week. There was a time when I was doing a lot of soloing, but now I play it once or twice a week. But a lot of it's just kind of like a chance to hang out with these people I've been literally playing with for like 7-8 years, like you know. I think there's gonna be a boss fight, so
yeah, I'm just like clearing inventory real fast.
Yeah, that's fine.
Your pet has departed.
Oh, did you go in?
Yeah.
Oh, look.
There's nothing right near the door here, so.
Oh, and highway. One of my FC mates from Elboro popped in.
God, that Melbaro is terrible, huh?
Asking what game we're playing. Yeah, this be Torchlight 2. Welcome to the podcast. We're talking about random stuff.
As we do.
Oh yeah, and people will play Ultima Online and take a break, but keep their subscription going.
Right.
So that's interesting too, because then they're making money, 100% off of loyalty.
Right.
And making money and spending less resources making money, because that's one less person to have to allocate server resources towards.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and this is a my pet is now a mimic.
Oh my goodness. My pet is still at the store. He went out to get milk.
He went to get cigarettes. He's not coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
Gonna have an awkward meeting, years later.
Like 20 years later.
Mm.
Well,
Said,
did you get the cigarettes?
Your pet returns.
I get my pet's returned. Let me transfer my pet into something horrible.
And so yeah, I think that's one of the things you gotta kind of keep in mind for the. You just have that weight of having played with people for a long time.
Right. I mean, like, Sel and I have been playing games since middle school.
Right.
Like 15 years now.
Yeah, but I mean, like you'll meet people on. You'll meet people on games, and you form friendships and whatnot. I've heard it happens.
I mean, they're my mods in my channel right now listening to us.
All right. Oh shit!
Why?
That was horrible.
Why are you so bad at video games? Well, I guess what you said's true. Developing games and playing games are two different skills, I guess.
Yes. That's, I'm just gonna quit the main menu. Okay.
It's okay, I'm just... Oh! You almost got me there.
I always say my mimic of a pet is supposed to do better than that.
I have a spider. He eats small children. Oh god.
The real boss. Oh. Well.
Can I res
Maybe
you
it-
or something?
No, I think it's you just kind of you get the option to pop back into the
Okay. Hey, aren't you supposed to be the tank? Why don't you tank?
yeah. Oh, you know what? Fuck me.
Where's
You know
your
what?
heal bot?
I was just thinking.
There we go. Now I am the master.
I guess. There's a forgotten chest over here. Let's not forget it.
What chest? What? Where?
Ooh, a mysterious pet tag.
Trash.
I got an orange pet tag.
Ooh. Sounds mysterious.
Oh, wow. 49 fire damage, 30 poison damage, 22 health.
Oh my. For your pet?
Yeah, and 17 to every armor.
Wow.
Yeah, that's his,
So, that's almost everything we had on the list.
How are we doing on time? I guess we got half an hour. I guess we can open up to questions.
We
If
have,
we have any questions, comments, concerns, I know Dejara has kind of thrown in 2 cents occasionally, and
we have one more thing that, I mean, I don't think it'll be too big of a thing. I was reading some articles recently, and I noticed there were developers weighing in. The developers of the games that the articles were criticizing. And I thought it was interesting from a PR move for developers to be weighing in, like, in a kind of unofficial way. Like it wasn't their press releases. I thought it was kind of odd, and I thought maybe it was worth talking about.
oh, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting because, like, as an indie developer, kind of go back to talking about indie developers, like, you really have to wear a lot of hats simultaneously. You need to and it can be kind of tough to you know, if you're, you know, when I owned a company, when I owned Near Death Studios running Ready 59, you know, we had like 3-4 people,
Right.
and I took care of like almost all the business stuff. I did the tax paperwork, I did a lot of the you know, kind of keeping the lights on, you know, organizing things for the bookkeeper and accountant to file our taxes, but I also did a lot of the kind of the marketing and PR.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm gonna say I was, you know, super great about it, but, you know, it you know, if I didn't do it, then it wasn't gonna get done.
Right. There's nobody else that would do it.
Right.
That was there to do it. And I just thought it was interesting because the article itself was talking about this particular game's state of claiming to be a not beta.
Well, that's kind of interesting because, like, you know, like, a lot of times the definition of alpha and beta, you know, like for MMOs especially, you know, the original definition of a beta for software is like, you know, when you had a lot of the major features completed, but maybe they weren't finished. Like in an MMO, for example, it would be like, we have the systems in place, we just don't have a lot of the content to use those systems. And so, but it kind of slowly shifted to where the point where, beta kind of became essentially a marketing term. Like, a game was, kind of like not around, and then they had their open beta, which is like, okay, come in and play the game.
It turned into like a marketing PR move.
Right, exactly. And so,
yeah, this particular game, I'm not gonna use names because I don't want to get sued. Like, that's
Some people
never
are
stopped
racist,
me.
maybe.
Anyways,
Yeah.
they use this very interesting term called beta 1. Like beta and then the number 1, and
Right.
it's supposed to be it's a Kickstarter game, but the article interested me. And so like a beta 1 isn't a real beta. They call it an old school beta. But it's only available for the Kickstarter patrons.
Right.
And it was heavily criticized because they were using the term beta when they're obviously testing fundamental game systems. It's not a matter of the systems are there and the content's missing. It's a matter of, here's the systems, we want to make sure they're playable. And it was just interesting because you would think that would be an internal systems test or an internal play test.
Right. I mean, it's something to be said. I mean, like, a lot of games have done this before, where they kind of use players as kind of unpaid testers.
Right.
But on the other hand, it does have a bit of, I don't know a good way to put this without kind of being too judgmental, but it comes across as, I guess, like you could say, a little sleazy.
Right.
Where, like, it's like, why aren't you paying for actual
testers who
Testers,
know
yeah.
what they're doing, know what they're looking for, know how to fix what they're seeing.
Right. I mean, we already have a problem in game development where we kind of don't respect testers very much.
Right.
To be honest.
Because they're tearing your hard work to shreds.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, and it's kind of painted as a way to kind of get your foot in the door of the game industry. And so it becomes a so then so the idea is that they can kind of like treat testers like crap, kind of underpay them, work them long hours, get and essentially burn through them. I mean, this is basically like the games industry at its in its purest form in a way.
Right.
Where basically they just kind of churn through people and kind of like lure people into the promises of, oh, this is a very glamorous thing. You're very lucky to kind of get into and to get into and be able to do this thing.
You're doing so much to help us develop our game. We appreciate all your feedback.
Right. But then the flip side is like you're working, and again going back to the whole like making games isn't playing games. Like testing games is not playing games either. It sucks. Because you're basically you're playing the same broken thing over and over again and see if somebody's fixed it. And you're trying to give you're trying to repeat things. You're trying to give as much information as possible. But the reality, of course, is that this is a very kind of underappreciated type of very underappreciated thing that you're doing. And so so kind of foisting that off onto players, especially people that have probably paid for your game. Like if this is a Kickstarter game, people have already played for this game, and so kind of trying to dress it up and say, oh, well, you're getting to play the game early. It's like, well, no, not really. You're getting to play a very broken version of the game first,
and then expected to give feedback about it.
Right, and it's kind of presented as a good, like a
net positive.
Right.
When it's really just abuse of your fans.
Right.
But yeah, so that's what caught my eye about it when, because I linked the article to a couple friends and they're like, hey, that's the developer of that game. And I went, oh, because they came off very, very defensive in the comments, and I think their comment was directed to other commenters, not the article itself. But they came up with this like this point by point argument defending their game and defending their terminology and defending what they're doing.
I mean, I can kind of appreciate that. I mean, like, you know, developers invest a lot of themselves into their games.
Right.
Where and so it becomes one of those things that it becomes one of those things that you really kind of want to you want to try to kind of, you know, take pride in your work.
Right.
Is a good way to put it. The flip side, of course, is like, you know, you really kind of need to pay attention a bit, otherwise you can get very blinded. Because sometimes when you have, you know, when you're creating something, you're in the moment, in the middle of it, you can kind of be blind to its flaws. You know, it's basically like, you know, everybody thinks that their kid is cute, right?
Right. And talented and
right. And
the perfect person, yeah.
Right. And so,
games are just little kids in the end.
I mean, yeah, in some ways, and so, so yeah, you kind of run into some problems with this. Did you want to do this other dungeon over here?
Yeah, sure. I've just been waiting on you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was kind of pontificating here. And so yeah, like, you know, yeah, when you get up close and personal, when you have a lot of kind of pride in your work, it becomes really hard for you to kind of like, you know, step back and accept, you know, criticism.
Right.
And to be fair, like, you know, a lot of times people will kind of be you know, jerks about the whole thing.
And I like when as I was like going through his comments and like reading his points, I'm just like, is this really the place for you to be making this argument? Or, you know, would it have been more appropriate to reach out to the article writer and, you know, like offer a follow-up about it?
Right.
Rather than sitting there trolling on their comment in the comment section, you know? Like it felt a little, to me, it felt a little inappropriate.
Right.
And that's kind of what I wanted to bring up. Like, what's the line for professionalism in that situation?
Right. Where you have people that are where you have people that kind of like, yeah, kind of go above and beyond. I mean, and I don't know, I've never been a big fan of the whole like, oh, you know, like, you know, game developers aren't very professional, so they suck type of attitude. I've always kind of thought, you know, you know, there's a question guy here over here.
Right, and I'm not saying, you know, oh my god, he sucks for, you know, being informal. I'm just questioning, because I do this a lot with myself, is, you know, in this particular circumstance, what is the appropriate way to respond?
Right.
Like, is responding in the comments section the most appropriate way for him to get his point across, or is, you know, taking a more professional or a more formal means of communication
right
appropriate?
Well, I think, you know, yeah, I definitely kind of I think you get in some ways, I think like people kind of like that. I'm not going to say unprofessional behavior, but like that little bit of that.
Informal.
Right. The attitude of you know, this person is one of them.
Right.
You know, that they that yeah, this person that, you know, that's posting on here is just like a normal guy who, you know, wants to, you know, kind of support his game. And so, like, you know, you know, from a PR point of view, like that actually might work for him to kind of bring it up there.
Right. So the question is he doing that to get more attention to his point, or is he just trying to argue in the comment section?
Can't carry anymore.
I mean, I'm sure it kind of increases visibility.
Right.
I mean, like that's one of the hardest things for game developers to be, you know, to be honest, is to is basically to get that attention, to get the
word of mouth about their project.
Right. And so, like, you know, I guess depending on the site, you know, if a lot of people are going to potentially play, you know, that game or on that site, then, you know, like that might be a good use of his time, his PR time, to kind of say, hey, I'm one of you guys, I'm making guys, you know, if you guys would make a game, you might make a game similar to what I'm making.
Right. But a comment that a lot of people would make from the outside looking in, like the usual communities, would be, oh, why are you spending all your time reading articles when you should be, you know, making the game?
Right. And I mean, you know, I mean, you can't be working on the game. You know, like, you need to kind of take some mental breaks, and sometimes there's just problems you have to kind of deal with. Sometimes there's problems you have to deal with, you know, just don't, you know, that take time to kind of we opened up a new thing.
Yeah.
Do I do this one?
Yeah. It's part of the quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is it as
Yeah.
MSQ?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go fight some Ascians. It's a mimic! Oh god, it hurts. It hurts so good.
Oh my.
One sec. I'm gonna get a new ability. Try out a new ability. What's this ability do? Ooh. Lots of fire.
And so, I mean, I like, as much as time is kind of a zero-sum thing, you know, like, you know, an hour spent, you know, making a, you know, like working on a game is not necessarily going to be equivalent, you know, like it's not going to necessarily be the same as an hour, you know, that hour, same hour spent, you know, looking over comments on the site.
Right.
You're not necessarily, you know, missing out on prime work time. You know, it could be, you know, the guy's doing it on his off.
Or
Right.
taking a mental moment to figure something out, and
or he's reading it from home.
Right.
You know, there could be a lot of explanations for why he's doing this instead of doing, you know, actual work on the project. So
And don't worry, Wei. I'll get to your comment in a second. Once we're done here, I'm done with this. Because that's something we're at least jokingly talk about.
but yeah, I think it's tough to know where to spend your time. Like, yeah, because I you know, like, I did the same thing when I was running my own company. I would I kind of hung out with a lot of
Troublemakers.
not necessarily troublemakers, but I hung out with a lot of
Cool kids.
communities that were kind of very focused on MMOs. And so, yeah, like, you know, I know, at my expense, as usual.
Well, duh. Who else do I have to pick on? The chat?
Yourself.
I mean, I do. I don't need
Yeah,
an excuse to do that.
That's every day, huh? But no, I think that, you know, you have, and so I tried to kind of like do that.
That's fireball ability's not bad. Leaves,
Yeah.
It leaves an AoE on the ground that burns.
Ah, cool.
It's a nice big AoE. That's what I've been missing, is like a lot of AoE abilities. But it doesn't build up charge at all.
Do you do fire damage?
Yeah, yeah.
I have a necklace that's 13% fire damage.
Okay. Well, I think the damage stuff is like independent from what your actual abilities are doing. Because I've been doing like ice and lightning damage alongside my fire damage because of my gems and stuff.
Right. But I think yeah,
It adds too.
right. Because yeah, especially like at the flat 13%, I think it just because it seems like it kind of these things add to the elemental damage.
Right.
Anyway, what was Wei's point?
Oh, Wei was going on a tangent. Wei brought up it's so annoying to see the word quantum being used in technology.
Oh.
And I'm just like, you know, you have a point. So why don't you explain what quantum technology is, Sai?
Well, how did I become the expert of this?
Well,
Wow.
basically, quantum technology uses a non-binary system to process data.
Right. Based on quantum physics rather than traditional Newtonian physics. Here, hold on a second.
Right. Which we haven't unlocked yet. We're not to
Is
that
that
point
interesting?
yet.
Is that interesting to you at all?
Sure, because I have ice damage at the moment. I'll take fire damage.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ooh, I have a pistol. That does a lot of damage. Wow.
Yeah, some of these pistols do.
Although my trident does more damage. Although I'm not sure if the weapon actually affects my spell damage. Anyways, I just thought that was a funny tangent. How dare them use quantum premium processors when it's not even quantum.
Right. I mean, but you know, the people have always done, you know, like
Gotta use
going
those
back to-
buzzwords.
right. Use the stupid marketing terms and whatnot.
Oh, Dejara brings up Jessica Price
Uh-oh.
in
Oh.
marketing.
Right. I mean, there is something to be said, like, you know, having the right temperament in order to talk to people, in order to deal with the public.
Mhm.
Yeah, like a lot of developers don't really have. Oh, I actually marked it as this being a secret room.
Yep, I just got the achievement. Even though I didn't go there.
I didn't really go anywhere either, so I guess. Oh, there's a whole bunch of gold over here. Yay, gold.
Bam, 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 bam. Sorry.
Mysterious gloves.
Ooh, what's over here? More gold, more chests. Nice. Whoa, lucky die. What's a lucky die do? Oh, it's a socketable. Increases magic finding. Yes, please.
Nice.
Oh, okay, it just links back up on this other side of the map. What? Wait, it's my bardic inspiration die. See, I can make D&D jokes.
It's a 5th edition joke, though. I'll let it pass, though.
That's the only edition I know. Shut up.
Oh my god. You want praise, and then you don't even know. God.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Just never satisfied. Jeez.
No, you were never gonna be good enough. Now I know how your parents feel.
Too soon. I'm just throwing these firebombs just all over the place.
Are you having fun with it?
I mean, they're effective as heck. Way's asking, what's your favorite edition? I'm gonna predict 3 for Pathfinder.
Yeah, 3.5 probably. I started on 2 mostly. I guess I technically started on the 1st edition. Had but didn't play a whole lot of that. Played more. Played a lot of 2nd edition at university. Got 3rd edition. I really like 3rd edition. I play another MMO called Dungeons & Dragons Online, DDO, that is based on 3rd edition. A 4th edition we don't talk about. Although 4th edition did make a really good thing for did make a really good thing for the D&D Adventure board games. So like I liked 4th edition for that. But you know it. But yeah, it was one of those. And then I actually don't mind 5th edition. I think I might like 5th edition more than 3rd edition, but I haven't played it quite as much. The thing I really like about 3rd edition is that you can get really interesting and unique characters. Like that's one thing I love about games is like when I feel like I can really make a very personalized character. That's one of the things I love about DDO is that you kind of create like one of my favorite characters is this fighter rogue monk who wields a quarterstaff. and he basically just does incredible damage with it. And it's in DDO, it's maybe not the most potent and effective. Like there, of course, people will min-max, and optimize things, within an inch of its life. But I just have fun with it. Like it's enjoyable to me. And so I love that type of thing where I can feel like I can make a where I feel like I can make a character that kind of really appeals to my individual play style.
Yeah, in 5th edition I played a Valor Bard. Which I just loved because you just spam bonus actions nonstop, basically. Like every turn you can get a bonus attack or bonus spell cast, like 100% guaranteed every turn. So you can do your attack and then just spam heals on everyone for free, basically.
Right.
Which is just ridiculous. And then adding Bardic Inspiration into it, tossing Bardic Inspiration to party members. They're like, here, have an extra, possible 6 damage to your roll. What?
Right. right. So you get something that's that feels a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it feels like you're like breaking the game when you're literally doing exactly what the game's telling you can do.
Right, and I think that's the best thing. Like that's the thing I like about a game. It's like when you feel like you're doing something potentially amazing. Sorry, I'm just getting caught up on things here.
Something slightly naughty.
Right.
But the game, but the rules clearly state you can do that, and that's the intent of it.
Right, and so you feel a little clever about that. Like, oh, I figured out that this bonus and this bonus, make sense together. Right,
and I always love having kind of like open-minded DMs that maybe what you're doing is a little bit like.
A little cheesy, but
yeah, but because like I had one bit, one of the only campaigns I ever did, where like my character was like sneaking around, and I used a spell to like put a guard to sleep where I was sneaking, and then next turn I used I forget what the name of the spell, but it's like whispers, like malevolent whispers or something like that. And like the description of the way I used the spell was supposed to be like putting him into like an eternal nightmare by whispering. And like the DM was just like, no, you win, like that.
Right.
Like don't even roll for that. That's amazing.
Right.
And I just loved that because you might want to come here.
What did you did?
Bad. Bad things are happening. I'm fighting a boss. Oh god, where'd you go? And like with that particular bard, I just had it set up so that I had so much charisma that if I did a spell check, I basically won every time.
You have completed the
Or I
Alright.
did a like persuasion check. So I would literally just talk my way out of everything. Like if I was fighting a boss, I'd be like, hey, can we just be friends? And they'd be like, you win the persuasion check. Yes, you can be friends. Okay, thanks. Hey, can I have your stuff?
Wow, that boss chest was super disappointing.
Yeah, that was not what I was expecting. Oh god, that was it.
Yep.
Disappointment.
Yeah, my character, I had a lot of fun with it. Oh, okay. My character I played in a 5th edition campaign for a bit. Was a tiefling sorcerer with a draconic blood background, so he was infernal and draconic in appearance.
Oh my.
Yeah, so he was a real beauty. Of course, he's a sorcerer, so he has high charisma anyway. So it's one of those things. Like I'm trying to imagine, like like he has horns and gold scales and is really charming.
Nice.
Yeah, and so it was one of those things that. But like one of the things I liked about 5th edition, kind of going back to that, was they took a lot of the thief skills and they turned it into a tool, like the lockpicking and whatnot.
Right.
And so I kind of like that aspect because even though I was playing a sorcerer, I rolled the background, and his background was as a blackmailer. So I wanted to have him as kind of a. It made sense to have him as a bit of a rogue, someone who basically had a
Your pet is overburdened.
kind of a lot of kind of some shady skills instead of having like in 3rd edition the way you do that is basically get take a splash or two of rogue. But I kind of liked having the skill, having the tool proficiencies that allowed me to kind of give him that kind of that background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we can open it up to the chat now. Otherwise, I think we're pretty much done here. I'm
How may I help?
having kind of a night.
As one does.
Yeah. Like I fell asleep just before we were supposed to start streaming, and then my alarm went off. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, do you have any little things you want to bring up before we kind of wrap things up?
No, I think we covered a lot of good topics here. So
Yeah, it was a good stream.
Have we met?
Thank you guys for hanging out. You know, so just doing my usual stuff. If you ever want to not miss a podcast or a stream, I put notifications out on Twitter. I have the Discord. I have Size blog. Check that out because a lot of what we talk about here ends up there or starts from there. That's always good to check out. I think that's everything else. But yeah, check out my YouTube channel. I do archives and highlights on YouTube. Just doing the usual plugs. Let's find someone to raid. And thank you guys for hanging out. We do this, you know, as usual. We do this every Tuesday
yep.
when I'm not asleep. Oh, Pumpkin's streaming. Wait, Pumpkin's in 2 places at once. I'm concerned.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so yeah, let's just go harass Pumpkin. Guess we can. And we'll see you Tuesday if I don't do another stream impromptu. So, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for contributing. Yeah, no raid call. I'm sorry. I don't use raid call anymore. So, we'll see you next week.